Wouldn't have done that if we had had an administration that could handle a crisis instead of causing crises. So that's why I decided to get this group together tonight, because these crises just keep escalating, and I think we saw hopefully what will be the culmination of purposeful incendiary action at the Capitol yesterday. And as someone who believes in our Constitution and believes in our believes in a loving God, I'm hopeful that we can come together as a community and work to mitigate the damage from yesterday. And we'll start by listening to some of our community leaders here tonight. So I'll just make a couple remarks and then I'll hand it off. I'm exhausted. Are y'all exhausted?
Yeah.
And that's what fascists do. And I don't use that word lightly, and I haven't for a long time. And what we saw yesterday, I don't know if it can be described as anything but fascism. So we know that fascists work by exhausting you. By every opportunity and every vulnerability, they push and prod and pull until you don't want to fight anymore. But you're here tonight because you want to reconcile that cognitive dissonance. You want to reconcile that anger and that pain that came from yesterday and came from the last 4 years. And we can do that. We can fight this administration tonight by being here, by starting today. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that the people who came here today who've probably been doing over the last 4 years. So, give yourself some applause for that. Again, thank you for just showing up. It's how we win, is showing up. And we've known that for 4 years, and many of you have known that for far longer, and we'll just continue that today. So just a couple points of precedence. No one has invaded the Capitol building since 1814, when the British burnt part of the Senate wing during the War of 1812. And what we saw yesterday led to a couple painful conclusions. The first one being is that our battle against white supremacy, hundreds of years long, in this country is not over. And we've known this for many of us woke up to this in the last 4 years. Many of us knew about this for years and years before that. And many of the people in this crowd today have been living that fight their entire lives. So I just want the black and the indigenous and the people of color in our community to know that I felt that pain yesterday watching people move past a police force that clearly knew how to peacefully resolve a situation and knew how to allow life to happen, life to sustain. So I felt that pain, and I'm sure some of you will speak to that tonight. What we know about white supremacy is that it operates with two hands. And one hand is white supremacy, and the other is the rule of law. And they will hit you with one, and then they will hit you with the other one, and you will you may see it coming, but it's a tough fight to have. And we saw this yesterday when people who, I imagine most people in the Washington, D.C. area recognize their coworker, or will in the months to come see that their coworkers were part of that crowd, and were part of the 100,000 people outside of the Capitol, and part of the thousands that breached the police and into the building, and however many made it into the building. With 4 dead and 55 arrests, it's easy to assume that this was a small action and with small consequences. But we know better. the people in this community know better, and that's why you're here tonight. And that brings me to my third point. With everything that's been happening in the last 4 years, we have a new administration coming in, and we will enforce the rules of law and the processes of our Constitution that allows that new administration to come in. And they are going to triage this situation that's been happening over the last 4 years, and probably years before that. And then we will get to heal. And we'll work as a community on that healing process. But we have to rely on each other while they triage this situation. So I know that our speakers tonight are going to speak to all those points, so I won't ramble on any longer. I want to introduce our first speaker. Reverend Gant is going to open us up with a prayer, and then we'll follow that up with Lizzie Johnston of the McLean County Board. So let's give her a hand. Thank you.
As Derek said, it's been a hard couple of days. So let's just start with a big deep breath together. Just try to let your shoulders come down a little bit. Let your heart rate get back to closer to normal. Will you pray with me? Spirit of life and love, you who go by many names, we gather here tonight in grief and in anger and in bewilderment. The foundation of our democracy feels a little shaky today. Our country's original sin of racism reared its ugly head once again, and it was painful to watch. But let us not turn away. Let us not attempt to move on. We need to witness what has happened. And with that witness, we must also interrogate our souls and the soul of this nation to learn more about the why. Give us the strength and fuel our work with love. We come here angry and grieving and bewildered, and we need to feel those feelings. But from here, we should go away determined and strengthened and resolute. Spirit of love, help us to do the work we need to do in ourselves and in our nation. May it be so.